It rustles when I move through the woods and boings when I run across those sheds. The wind is so zealous to stumble me over, but I'm impregnable. These stills of mine make me impregnable. I've never given up on observation, just like how I'm on with my curiosity. And these two will always be my companions, along with the prominent one, my shadow. I see her everywhere. She tells me tales and loves me unlike the others. She looks charming, slender she is, and looks stunning in that pink puffed dress of lace and satin. Yes, she's tall, just like me. My stills make me feel higher than anyone on earth, and that's what I've ever wanted to. It feels so special to look down on all these fellas from high above the sky. Oh, what's that light in between the trees? Maybe someone in a tree house just wanted to take a look after hearing my boing. But I bet they are not as high as me. No one is. No one will. Wait, it's not they. It is just one single person, and it's a boy. Viola. Looks like he's my thrill for tonight. Say welcome to your final hours, young lad. I took 3 steps covering a yard and found myself directly under the tree house. The tree house was not of much height, but there was a ladder leading it, so I decided to use what my purpose of the night has gifted me with. I got off my stills and attached them to the hoop of my outfit next to my blue sling bag. I closed my blue globes and took a long snuffle and started climbing the old, wretched wooden ladder. It cried when I mounted each of its steps. I didn't bother to climb the ladder, quiet as a sound which is produced when my boots touch the wood creates fear in the emptor. Fear is good, and so is pain. I found myself at the top of the treehouse and a door ahead of me, which leads to the room in which the purpose of the night is awaiting me. I paused there before opening the door and took in a deep breath. The air smelled so fresh, just like before all other ones. I prolonged my hands to propel the knobless door, which resulted a creak that pierced through the silence of the anonymous night. I saw a young boy at the corner of the room through the crack of the door. He looked much tensed. His brows touched the other just as I pushed open the door. His forehead looked like a shed ecdysis. I started walking closer to him. The more steps I took, the more sweat he produced. As I was getting closer to him, he started to shiver, which delighted me. I was so close to him that I could feel his breath on my shoulder. I lifted my long arms and extended it to touch his face. My cold fingers ran through his curly black hair and touched his scorching yet sweaty forehead. I covered his face with my 2 palms, which made only his eyes visible through my fingers. His eyelids were flickering, and I knew that he was uncomfortable with me. My fingers quickly slipped off from his face, as sweat was his weapon, but he was obedient. He kept mum. I slowly moved my fingers to my small sling bag hanging across my shoulder and unzipped it. Moving my fingers through those objects, I picked one in random. Bringing it closer to my nose, I inhaled the essence produced by them and offered one to the boy. He failed to accept it, and I felt rejected. Anger rose in me like a volcano, and I condemned it by bringing that white crescent into my mouth. Sweet it was, and lovely. I reached out to the side pocket of my sling bag on my left shoulder and carefully took out the S-shaped metal object and positioned it according to the curves of my palm. Bringing it closer to the small body of the boy, I jabbed him right above his keyhole and pulled it back out in the same pace, finding a small white tube attached to it. The red essence of life oozed out from the wound like a magical fountain, splashing it on my face. I was always very fascinated by the smell of the blood. I think it tastes delicious as well. I sat down on the rotten wooden floorboard and leaned towards the pool of blood, burying my palms in it. I felt a difference in the air, just so magical. I caressed my whole body with my cold, bloody arms. I felt powerful. I took the other half of the so-called cashew nut from my mouth to celebrate the ritual and reached the blood to dip it in, but the unknown blocked me from doing so. The cold wind which came in through the wide open door melted on my body, which caused pain in me. Sitting there, thinking of the unknown, I remembered that a soothing verses would calm things up as everything was coming to an end, just like the silent and exotic night. The clarinet, which was attached to the hoop of my clothing, was detached by me and brought the embouchure towards my mouth and pointed the bell at the purpose of the night. I started playing those magical notes which were once created by me in my childhood to sleep off myself. This lullaby was so magnificent that tears were produced by the magical eyes of mine each time it was played. Jumping down from the tree house and fitting my stilts back again, I ran out of the sacred woods along with my shadow, munching the remaining half of the white moon in my musical mouth.